Why is it that some people are able to translate their dreams into goals and directed action so that they can actually live their dreams, while others seem to get stuck and find themselves procrastinating and not making much progress and just wishing that one day they could live their dreams? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about why it can be so challenging to get motivated and stay motivated to working toward big goals such as moving abroad or writing a book. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have already subscribed to my channel, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you're new here, welcome. And if you enjoy content about life in France, moving abroad, or finding the confidence and courage to live life on your terms, then you're in the right place. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so that each week when I upload a new video, you'll be notified. I'm Patricia Brooks, and back in 2018, I found the confidence and courage to leave my good-paying job in the United States and move to the south of France without having another one at the ready and live my dream. And it was challenging, and it wasn't always something that I knew I would do, but I managed to get motivated and stay in action to make it happen. And in this video, I want to talk about what sets people apart who actually go from dreaming to working toward their dreams to actually living their dreams, and those who don't. And I'm going to talk about two things here. I'm going to talk about writing and publishing books, and I'm going to talk about making a move abroad. And they're similar in that they're really big goals that make you feel vulnerable. So I woke up this morning and I was on fire to write. And that is not something that I can say was true for me over the last 6 months. But something inside me has changed, has motivated me to write this third book that I've been thinking about and talking about for the last 3.5 years. And I wanted to unpack what has gone on for me over the last 3 weeks that has allowed me to be more motivated, gain momentum, and make a commitment. All right. So the first thing that I want to share with you is that back in January of 2023, I created a video where I shared my intentions for 2023. And if you're interested in seeing what those intentions were, you can check them out up here. And feel free to hold me accountable, because that was one of the reasons I created that video. But since January till the end of June, I made very little progress on one of the goals I had set for myself, writing my third manuscript. And I'm not so sure why this third book has been so hard for me to get started on, but it has. But what has gotten me unstuck was committing to myself again that I will have this manuscript written by the end of the year. And that motivation came from looking at the calendar at the end of June and saying, "Oh, Patricia, what have you done? 6 months of the year are gone." And you don't have much to show for it with your book. Yes, I've written probably 4 or 5 chapters that weren't going anywhere. I've written 3 introductions and I couldn't seem to get any traction. But now I've got that. So what's different? Well, the commitment started to come when I looked at the calendar and I said to myself, you better get on this so you can get this done. But what came after I made that commitment was I met up with a friend who lives here in this village part-time, and she's here for the summer, and she's a writer too. And we got to talking about our goals, our writing goals. And she suggested that we have a writing circle 1 or 2 times a week we would sit together for 2 hours or 3 hours and write. At the beginning of the session, we would talk about what our intentions were for that session. At the end of the session, we would talk about what we'd accomplished and how we felt, right? That was how this was going to go. And so we decided, and the following week we met and we had our first 2-hour session. And that was magic for me because typically I write alone. I've never written in a writing circle. It's really kind of a writing line since there are only 2 of us. But I was very focused. And what I got out of that first session was a vision, a direction for this third book that I haven't had for over 3 years. I've had the idea. I knew what I wanted to write about, but I didn't have a direction for it. And so that's why over the first 6 months of this year, I was writing, but I wasn't feeling good about it and it wasn't inspiring me to sit down and write more. But in that session, I got that vision. And so I think that's the first key, or the second key. The first key is getting committed. So setting a deadline, having an accountability partner to help you with that commitment, and then getting that vision. You might have a dream of living abroad, but if you don't know the country or the city, or if you don't know what your life will look and feel like, or what you want your life to look and feel like when you're living in your new country, it's a little bit harder for you to envision yourself doing it. And so there can be a bit of imposter syndrome going on there. I know that that was the case for me in writing this third book. I've already written and published 2 books, so I am a writer, and I've called myself a writer before. But in recent months, that was not a term that flowed off of my lips easily. But this morning, I said, I'm a writer, and it felt good, and it didn't feel unreal to me. And that's because I have committed to doing what is required. I have written every single day since the beginning of this month. And we're now in the middle of this month. I have committed to doing this writing circle. And the amazing thing about it is, once I got that vision, writing feels fun to me again. It doesn't feel hard like I am pushing because I can see where my writing is going. And yes, some days are easier than others. But when I sit down to write, even if it's later in the day when a lot of my life has happened for that day and I don't feel particularly energized to write, after that first 5 minutes, because I have a direction, it's so much easier to write and spend the 45 minutes or hour or sometimes hour and a half that I find myself writing. And it feels good. It's exhilarating to get to this place. And it's the same when you commit to making a move abroad. It was for me. I know for about 2 years, I had the idea, the seed of a dream of living in France, but I really wasn't taking much action toward it because I couldn't see myself doing it. I didn't have the self-identity of somebody who lives in France. And what changed for me, what got me committed, was in working with a coach who told me that I needed to look at my finances to see what I needed to make it happen. And when I saw that I had enough to make it happen, then it got more real for me. Then I got into action. I got motivated. Momentum started to happen. I started to get excited about it because the doubt started to fall away. And in about a year's time after working with that coach, I was living in France. So it's incredible what you can get done and what flows to you once you make that commitment. So commitment, vision, deadlines are huge. And that self-identity too, because until you see yourself as the kind of person who does the thing you're going for, until you start to create habits of the kind of person who does the thing you're going for, you're going to have a hard time gaining traction. You're going to have a hard time being consistent. You're going to have a hard time drawing things to you because you are sending disparate signals out into the universe. And so ideal situations and circumstances don't necessarily flow to you as easily as when you're committed and when you're telling yourself you're the kind of person and you are consistent. All right. So this was the video that I woke up saying I needed to make today. And I think that's because somebody needed to hear this. I know that moving abroad is a big stretch for so many of us, especially when you are in the infancy stages of working to make it happen. And it can be so challenging to build momentum and create accountability on your own. But if you are looking for a program that will help you to become the kind of person who moves abroad confidently and sustainably and create the habits that will support that and be around like-minded women who are working to do the same thing that you are to help with the accountability, then I'd love to have a conversation because my program, the Carefree Expat Incubator Program, is set up to do just that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link to my calendar in the description where you can find a time for us to talk. And I can't wait to hear what your plans are and how we might work together to make them reality. Now, I want to thank you so much for watching this to the end. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.